There's too much tonality and detail, both in the shadows and highlights, for this to be an older digital camera.
The EP1, 2 or 3, or maybe the EP5 or EM5.
Nikon DF.
Epson RD1. Ricoh GR.
Fuji X Pro 2.
Pentax LX.
I'm gonna say it isn't a Yashica T4.
Canon 1D Mark I. Maybe Nikon Coolpix A.
Either the Olympus E400 or the Panasonic L1.
The Leica CL?
Nikon ZF.
Ricoh GR Digital 4.
Canon 5D.
Panasonic GX645.
That shadow grain makes me wonder if this is a 1-inch
reds look
sensor.
like the Olympus C7000Z, but with a 4/3 sensor?
I still think she will blow everyone's mind that it's an iPhone RAW image that is like 48 megabytes.
Softly cough twice if that's the full-frame Foveon about to be announced on OMTC.
I'm becoming way too invested in this guessing game. But my collection of facts currently are digital, relatively compact, has a viewfinder, not a true rangefinder, and it's 4:3, so I would guess it's a 4/3 or micro 4/3.
Getting warmer.
Welcome back, everybody. It is gorgeous to see you again, and I am here to talk about my favorite camera. Oh, I know, it's crazy. I actually have one. Now, there are different cameras for different purposes, so I will get into that as well, but I will say this is my favorite all-time, all-round camera to carry with me everywhere, every day, which some of you might find insane, but I never claimed to be normal. First, however, I thought it would be worth revisiting my collection overall, because in the 2 years of testing cameras on this channel, the premise of 1 month, 2 cameras is shooting a different camera every 2 weeks to find the perfect one to slay my gas and make me whole. But in doing so, I have discovered hashtag no bad cameras as well as no perfect cameras. So I have had to slim down my collection by pure virtue of space. And these are painful decisions. Please don't get mad at me. These are very subjective decisions, and I've had to cut babies that were near and dear to my heart. So it's not that I don't love any of the cameras that I got rid of. And if you're interested in seeing what I sold and why I sold it, I will happily make that video too. But in no particular order other than size, we're gonna cover the cameras left in my collection in 2024 and reveal my favorite camera at the very end. This is a Casio watch that has a camera built into the front. It is completely absurd. I actually have the equipment to get the photos off of here onto my laptop. And when I say laptop, it is an old XP running Dell computer that I had to get off the internet specifically for this purpose. And I did, because I really want to make it work. However, I haven't gotten there yet. It's one of those pet projects that someday I will find the time for, and that time has not come. In the meantime though, I love wearing this thing, and I just am capturing pictures like a roll of film that I'll develop one day in 20 years and see what I got. It is like 0.19. It's an insanely, it's like way less than 1 megapixel. It's very, very small image capture, but Paul McCartney did in fact use this camera, and this album cover was shot with it. He also had on the back cover of his artwork all of these images that were also shot with this camera, and I just think it's so fun and so cool, and I love a men's watch. So this beautiful Pentax 110 film camera takes 110 film cartridges. Lomo is the only company still making these, but thank you, Lomography, for continuing the 110 film. I love this camera. I love what it produces. I have all the lenses. I have the flash. I have the winder. I am obsessed with this camera. It is my main go-to and favorite film camera because I can carry it with me everywhere. Next up, we have the Sony RX100, which I have reviewed on this channel. This thing is fantastic, and this is my go-to party camera when I go out to dinner with my girls, when I go out to dinner with my gals. If I'm out at night, concert, party, whatever, I bring this because it is automated, fast. It is starting to have the lens error issue. Oh, didn't do it that time. Occasionally it has a lens error, it gets stuck, and then I'm like in that whole massaging it to get the lens to come out properly. So it is starting to fail. These are notorious for failing. I mention it in my review video as well, but until it dies, it will be in my party bag. Next on the list is the Panasonic GM1. I mean, come on, this thing is darling. It's right in there with like the Pentax Q as far as very small interchangeable lens cameras. I happen to have a lot of micro Four Thirds lenses, so this is the body for me. I also just love this form factor. I shot almost, well, not all, but a lot of the pictures in my Mexico City vlog is shot with this camera, and it is darling. It shoots raw, it's fast, it's awesome, and super, super compact. And old loves, what's the saying? Old flames die young? No, that's not it. Old flames, I'll just leave it at old flames. I can't get rid of these LX3 and LX5 cameras. I love these LX line of cameras from Panasonic. I reviewed this early in the channel. The LX3 was my first, this baby here. I have this all taped up per the video if you watch that review to try to get that Hasselblad X-Pan ratio with this wide angle adapter and the 16:9 aspect ratio. What I love about these cameras is the multi-aspect ratio of the sensor. You have this little switch on the top that lets you go 1:1, 16:9, 3:2, and 4:3, which is native to this camera. And it's just delightful. I also just ergonomically love this camera as my favorite point and shoot, hands down. And I really like the files that come out of it as well. But I also cannot be remiss to include the XZ1 from Olympus. This little bad boy is, honestly, it's better. It's a better camera. The optics are better. A lot about this camera is incredible. The lens is really, really nice. It has a great zoom range on it. It's just not as comfortable or fun to hold or shoot, in my opinion, as the LX3 and LX5. But, you know, I'm keeping them all. And stepping one farther up is my Nikon 1 series. I haven't really properly reviewed this. I just shot that video that I took in Yosemite with my friends as we were hiking, and I took the the Nikon 1 V3, which I have here, the V1 and the V5, or J5, V3, and V1. Love them all, keeping them all. I am a hoarder, I will admit it. But I'm still doing a great job of minimizing my collection, but these are going nowhere. I love them to death. Next up, this one. Okay, I struggle with this one. I put it in the sell pile and now I'm kind of vacillating. It's just so beautiful. This is the Olympus Pen F film camera. It's actually the FT. It has a 40mm 1.4 lens on it, and I absolutely love both this piece of glass as well as the camera from a design perspective. And I actually really love half frame because I am a grain nerd and I like it pushed film, half frame. You're just like packing in the grain and the grit and the character. So I love this camera, and I just before filming this video took it out of my box to send to KEH, and I think I'm gonna keep it. This is the Fuji X-T1. I haven't formally reviewed this. I did review the XE1, which I absolutely loved. I actually prefer the straight out of camera images from the XE1 to the XT1, but me personally, I don't mind processing. I actually quite love post-processing, post-production, and this body is probably the perfect body to me. I absolutely love the way this fits in my hand. I love the dials on it. I love all the buttons. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience to shoot. It's the smallest of the XTs as far as I understand, and it is perfect. So I now choose things more from an ergonomic standpoint than anything, because I know there are no bad cameras and I can work those files in post, and I am not going to be totally beholden to the straight out of camera JPEG output. That being said, the straight out of camera JPEGs are fire, even in this. Not as good as the XE1, but still really, really nice. Okay, making progress, making progress. Next up, we have the Contax G1 with this gorgeous, gorgeous 45mm f2. This camera, you guys, this camera has a story. It is so beautiful. I had this camera a long time ago back in Brooklyn. I have some incredible photos that I pulled them up, you know, when I moved here, when I started the channel actually, and I talked about this, I think, over on Instagram, about how it's like the one camera I really am sad that I sold because I really enjoyed the images out of it. And a viewer reached out, and it turns out we know each other, we'd worked together, we'd just never seen each other's faces, and he was unbelievably gracious and sent me this absolute beauty of a camera. He knows who he is, and you know, we're still very much in touch, and we work in the same industry. So one day, maybe we'll do a photo project together. I do plan to add the 28 because I love 28 field of view. And so between the 40 and 28, this system is golden. Next up, of course, I'm not getting rid of my ZF, guys. Like, I reviewed this camera. I bought this camera as my modern camera. Now, the funny thing is, I haven't touched it since that review. And it's not because I don't like the camera. I do like the camera. I do need to get to know it better. It isn't the most intuitive camera, as I said in my review, and it doesn't call my name the way that some of my other cameras do. That being said, it's an absolutely excellent and stellar camera, but it is also a full frame camera, and I'm actually not a big fan of full frame. I know that sounds crazy, but like, I like deeper depth of field. I like more grit and grime, and like, modern cameras are clean with incredible fall off and very shallow depth of field, and this is stellar. So I use this more like a hybrid video / medium format camera for more special occasions and not like everyday carry. I know, I'm weird. What can I say? That's kind of how I'm using it. Okay, this is like a bit of a tie, but let's go to the next Nikon, the Nikon D700. I just adore this DSLR. It is massive, it's huge, it feels awesome in the hand. You feel like you could beat someone. That sounds terrible, not like defend yourself with this brick, but the quality is gorgeous. I still love all the photos I captured with this. I did review this as well, and it's staying in the collection. The Fuji S5 Pro. I have had a very mixed relationship with this camera. I would say it's inconsistent. I've had two bodies. So actually what happened was, after I reviewed it on this channel, I really liked the images, but I had it was like a fussy camera to deal with, and so I did end up selling it. And then I saw the photos pop up on my phone, and I was like, damn it, like, I want that camera back. So I bought it again. And I don't regret doing that, but it is a bit more of a temperamental camera. Body to body copies are not consistent either. So this one underexposes much more severely than my last body. I've figured out how to work around that. I go through the ropes on this one for two reasons. One, I have Nikon lenses. This takes Nikon lenses. It's an F-mount body, so it just makes sense to carry over my lenses and continue like consolidating my systems down. I now have the Nikon ZF, the Nikon D700, and this camera. Obviously the Z-mount lenses don't fit on here, but the Nikon F lenses do. So I can justify it, if you will. Additionally, the JPEGs out of this are gorgeous. And I think when I look back on the photos from this, it is probably my favorite output on JPEGs. I do think the XE1 is real neck and neck. They are different. And for my vibe and my punchy sort of sensibility and love of color and extremely over the top expressionistic type of imagery, this guy delivers. All right, we're down to our last three. Fuji GS645S. Another film camera. This is a true medium format film camera. It is 645, but it is so compact. It is far cheaper than a Mamiya 6 or Mamiya 7, and it has optics, in my opinion, that match those cameras. I love this fixed focal range. Or focal length. It is the wider version, so it's a 60 millimeter, which comes to about a 35 millimeter on 35, and it is so awesome. It is not a reliable camera. I have said this also in the past. It is finicky, it breaks easily. Sometimes I see that these things strip, but all these old film cameras, they're old. They're gonna have issues, just accept you're gonna have to CLA them or repair them. I haven't yet, by the way. I haven't had to repair it or CLA it yet. My girlfriend Victoria borrowed it. She shot a wedding with it. It's just a really awesome camera. And again, one of those that I'm just willing to hold on to till it dies. And then the Sigma SD Quattro H. This was the first one that I said, this is going nowhere. This camera will never leave my collection. I am obsessed with this camera because it is the most specialist camera that I have in my collection. I also had the DP Quattros 1 and 3. I had the DP1 Merrill. The nomenclature is nuts, but I have had multiple Sigma cameras. I'm completely obsessed with Sigma, including the FP, which I did not review even though they sent me a copy. I didn't end up really reviewing it, as you can see the video here, but I actually love the files out of that. I just didn't love the shooting experience of it. This one, I love files, I love shooting experience. Everything about this thing is incredible if you are willing to put up with the major unique qualities of it that are the slowness, the absolute sort of limitation of ISOs. There's Sigma Photo Pro proprietary software. Like there's so many hurdles, but this is my specialist camera when I really want to shoot something that's different, unique, both experientially and from an output perspective. And that takes us to our last camera. My favorite camera. Oh my God, where do I even start with this? So I originally bought this camera in 2020, and I think everyone here is going to hate me for saying that this is my favorite camera because it is neither vintage digital, nor is it a new camera, nor is it a full frame. It's about as normcore and vanilla as it gets. But my favorite camera, and I can't show it to you because I'm filming with it, is the Panasonic G9. Nobody quite got it, but a lot of you got close with the micro four thirds observation on the 4:3 aspect ratio. I just love this camera. It is the perfect ergonomic camera. It is intuitive to shoot. It is easy to set up. It's a wonderful hybrid camera. It shoots 4K. It shoots, 60, 120, whatever. I actually don't even remember all the specs on video because I only shoot 24p. I don't know. I love slow motion. It's beautiful, but it's overused, and I'm not going to be doing that. So I shoot it at 24p in 4K. It has Cine-like D, Cine-like V, which is Cine-like V is fantastic. I shoot Cine-like V for my JPEGs, for my stills. I absolutely love that. It is a strong JPEG machine. I think the images are beautiful straight out of camera. In addition to that, the video is spectacular. And I did go the extra step and install the obnoxiously priced $100 V-Log with the waveform monitor. Those extras are, like, to me, just absolutely worth the pain of paying an extra $100.
Now, why can't I punch to zoom whilst I'm filming? That's what I want to know.
Vlogging test. Yes, honey. I know, he's sleeping the dream.
This camera, guys, this camera came out in 2019. It can be found so cheap on the used market now. I think with the G92 being released and the fact that it's like an older sensor and it's micro four thirds, it's just like not popular as far as I can tell. And the value of it is nuts. Like the price has just plummeted. You can get it anywhere from like $500 to $600 used. I also got a 12 to 35 millimeter 2.8 lens, which I'm filming this video with. I have the 35 to 100 2.8 from Panasonic. I have the 20 millimeter 1.7 from Panasonic. Unbelievable, beautiful, sharp lens. That was the lens I used for my first post on Instagram to tease this camera. And then I have the 14 millimeter 2.5 pancake lens for a 28 millimeter field of view. Also outstanding. But my two favorite lenses to use with this system are actually the Voigtlander 17.5 millimeter 0.095 and the 42.5 millimeter because they are so awesome to shoot with. They have a stepped aperture, or you can declick it, so it's excellent for both stills and video. It is soft, wide open, but it is so full of character, and I love nothing more than just a buffet of character. So for me, This camera, this system, those lenses, they meet my needs in every single way and make my heart sing. I love this setup. I plan to use this setup extensively in 2024. It was so fun to reacquire this camera because it has been sitting on my mind and my heart for, well, since I sold it back in 2021. And I'm really happy to have it back in my collection. So that is the camera I've been teasing on Instagram. Those were all the photos taken at the beginning of this video in Death Valley, which was an extraordinary trip, you guys. What a place. I just love Death Valley. I think that's it.
Because I was recording so quickly the other day, I completely forgot to mention a couple of cameras that are still in my drawer. Technically not, though. My Leica M8 is not going anywhere. It is on permanent loan at the moment to Caleb Knieven, aka Bad Flashes, and at some point we will meet up and I will get it back, but I love that he's been able to enjoy it for a period of time, and so that's why I forgot about it. Other one, this camera, the Minolta 7000i, I will not be getting rid of this camera. This is my father's camera. He did a lot of work with it, so I will not be getting rid of that. Additionally, this Vivicam 3750. This is a digicam that is absolutely bananas crap, and I adore it because of how basic and rudimentary and crappy it is. It's 3 megapixels. I actually had this in a sort of like giant box of cameras I bought at random, had no idea what was in it, and I gave it to my girlfriend Victoria, and then someone messaged me on Instagram and mentioned, like, this camera's amazing, it has no chromatic aberration, and he's right. It's a fixed focal length camera. It's like f8. You can only do 2 focus zones, like close-up and infinity focus zone. It's totally basic, totally crappy. It probably was made for $20, and it is noisy AF, but I really like how, like, this is a disposable camera vibe for digicam, and I really like it. Final thoughts on the Panasonic G9, because I realized I didn't really get into detail as to the sort of why I love it so much, and really it boils down to this. It is an incredibly fully featured camera, can do a ton of things in a modern sense, but it's also incredibly simple. It's a simple menu, it's a simple layout, it has buttons, it has features. I just love that. If you want a more in-depth, like, full review of that camera, mention that as well, and I can look into it. All right, that is all I have for real this time. Prologue out. Mwah. Love you. See you later. Bye.
What do you think of Death Valley? You like it? Are you here for the President's Day weekend? Yeah. Nice long weekend to go someplace fun.